Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. My dear beloved brothers and sisters in Islam, once again, I greet you with the most beautiful greeting, the greeting of peace and love. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Our reminder is still on Zakat, and today, bi'idhnillahi tabarak wa ta'ala, we will talk about Zakat payment on shares. Zakatu Al-Ashum. But before we proceed, I would like to clarify two things. One, it is important to understand that shares are wealth on which zakat must be paid, because Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala said in Surah At-Tawbah, verse 103, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم خذ من أموالهم صدقة تطهرهم وتزكيهم بها وصل عليهم إن صلاتك سكن لهم والله سميع عليم. I will kindly advise you to visit this verse, as we agreed we want to be connected to or with the Noble Quran. The second point I would like to clarify, it is important to understand that it is not permissible for a Muslim to buy shares or participate in a company whose activities are in violation of the rules and principles of Islam. So you have to do your own research and make sure that the company that you intended to purchase their shares, their underlying transactions and dealings are in accordance, are in compliance with the teachings of Islam. So how to pay zakat on shares? It is important to differentiate between types of shares when it comes for zakat payments. For that, there are two types of shares. Number one, shares purchased for trading purposes. This is what we call investment shares. You purchase shares and you keep watching the market. If the price is high, you will sell it. If the price is low, you will keep it. So your objective is to trade in these shares. So it is important to understand, my brothers and sisters in Islam, these shares are subject to zakat like commercial goods. It is similar to zakat on business and trade, what we call in Arabic urud at-tijara. Urud at-tijara. So if you have if you purchase these shares and 1 year has passed and it's reached its nisab, as we explained in the previous reminder, you have to pay zakat on these shares according to its market value at rate of 2.5. Let me give you an example. Let's say you purchase the share $8,000. $8,000, the amount or the capital that you use to purchase these shares. And you purchase these shares in 1st January with how much? Let's say $80,000. By next year, January, your capital become, because you trade in these shares, your capital become $100,000. So how much you earn? You earn extra $20,000. The question is how to pay zakat on this amount. You have to pay zakat on the whole amount that you have at the time of paying zakat, which is the 100,000. Your capital 80,000 plus the profit or the dividend you earn. You may ask, the 20,000 year has not yet passed on it. The simple answer in Islam is that profit is always connected to the capital. So you will have to pay zakat from the 100,000 that you have in your possession. What you have to do, as we explained before, the easiest way to calculate your zakat is to divide it to 40. So 100,000 divided by 40, the outcome will be $2,500, and that $2,500 is the zakat that you should pay. How to pay zakat on shares purchased with intention of receiving dividend or profits. There are two views on this. The first view, they said there is no zakat on these shares. Rather, the zakat will be on the dividend that you received if it's reached the nisab, the threshold, or you manage to keep it for the whole 1 year, or 1 year has passed. But as share itself, there's no zakat on it, and they give an example with somebody who is having property, let's say house, and he rented it out. As we explained in the previous reminder, that if you own house and you rented it out, you don't have to pay zakat on the property itself, but you will pay zakat on the rental that you received if 1 year has passed and it's reached the threshold, which is the nisab. Here they say these shares are the same. The second view said, which is the correct view, there is zakat on these shares. Why? Because these shares represent assets in the company that you purchase shares from. So your shares represent assets in this company, and the company that you purchase your shares, sure, it has assets that zakat must be paid for, and sure, your shares is part of it. Therefore, you have to pay zakat on your shares, because you are considered as partner in this company, sharik, partner in this company. Therefore, you have to pay zakat on these shares. But in some countries, especially some Islamic countries, the company that you purchase share from them or from it, they pay zakat. So if the company pays zakat, means you don't have to pay anything. There is no zakat on you because the company has already paid. But if the company did not pay the zakat, in this case you have to pay zakat on your shares according to its what we call book value, not the market value. For example, let's say the shares that you have, the book value of the shares in the company is $20. The market value is $50. So when you come to calculate your zakat, you will calculate it on the book value, which is $20. But zakat must be paid. But if the company paid the zakat, then there's no zakat on you. But if the company did not pay, so you must, this is the correct view, to pay zakat on these shares according to its book value. What about mutual or investment funds? How to pay zakat on it? Of course, investment funds or mutual funds is kind of investment that uses the money from the investors to invest in certain investments like shares, etc. And these funds normally is run by what we call fund manager or portfolio manager, and he gets fee for his job, means he gets paid for that. So how to pay zakat on this? Because these shares are considered to be a business share, share is like the same shares that you purchase for the purpose of trading. So when year has passed, let's say you have shares in this fund, what you have to do is to look at the value of the shares that you have in this fund. The shares, the value of what you have in these shares, in these funds, and then you pay zakat accordingly at rate of 2.5. Means what you have to do when if the year has passed, you look into this fund and look at the shares, the value of the shares that you have, let's say $10,000, $20,000, and then you pay 2.5 accordingly, because these shares are considered as business shares. This related to the mutual or investment funds if you have shares in it. Sometimes some people may have shares and they have to pay zakat, but the shares still not yet matured. What to do? We have to understand delaying payment of zakat is not permissible in Islam unless there is a legitimate reasons. Some people their zakat may be due in Muharram and they delay until Ramadan. We know paying zakat in Sadaqah in Ramadan is more reward, but zakat must be paid immediately when it's due. But in this case, when you invest, let's say in unit trust, you invest in unit trust, and the maturity will be 2 to 3 years, and you don't have cash to pay your zakat. In this case, there's no problem. You can wait until the share is matured, or until the maturity of the investment, and after you receive the money, then you calculate the unpaid zakat at the time you purchased the unit trust. So no problem to delay until you receive the money when the share is matured. In this case, inshallah, no problem. Scholars mentioned something very interesting, very good, that if you have variety of wealth, shares, other properties, which you must pay zakat on it, they said it's good to choose one day and calculate all your zakat and pay once. It's better for you than paying zakat for your shares, paying zakat for your trade, paying zakat. No, just have one day and calculate your zakat and pay. One day is better for you. Means one calculation that will be easier for you in terms of calculation, so you will not have to confuse yourself. My brother, my sister in Islam, if you have money, you accumulate money and reach the nisab, don't be stingy. Pay your zakat, because zakat, my brother, zakat completes and perfects person's Islam. Zakat is indicative of a person's sincerity of iman. Zakat cleans the character of the person who gives it. Zakat is a salvation from the heat of the day of resurrection. Zakat eliminates problems and calamity. Zakat gladdens the hearts, makes you happy when you give it. Zakat purifies the wealth, make the world's growth, inshallah ta'ala. And zakat, my brothers and sisters, makes the Muslim society like a single family. So I will advise myself first, and you, to do good to those who are in hardship, as Allah ta'ala has been good to us. Allah ta'ala said in Surah Al-Qasas, chapter 28, verse 77, وَأَحْسِنْ كَمَا أَحْسَنَ اللَّهُ إِلَيْكَ, and do good as Allah has been good to you. My brother, pay your zakat, because the punishment of those who refuse to pay zakat in the hereafter is unbearable. And we know money is dear to the heart of people. Only those who fear the punishment of Allah will pay their zakat. ربنا لا تزغ قلوبنا بعد إذ هديتنا وهب لنا من لدنك رحمة إنك أنت الوهاب ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار اللهم تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم وتب علينا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم بارك الله فيكم والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.